Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Round Table Battlefield.
Round and everything.
Round and everything.
Round tables.
Round tables. But big news today. We have a special guest with us today.
Look who's here!
Mr. Grant Hamilton from Brandon University has been so kind to join us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I think that's the benefit of having a round table. You can have unlimited guests around
Exactly.
the table.
That's true, yeah. Just get a bigger table.
Just
That's
a
right.
bigger table.
That's right.
Exactly.
There's no
The
head of
whole
table.
world could meet.
That table would take forever to
Well,
build.
we brought someone here who has a big brain and he has big ideas, so he needs a big table.
Big brain or thick skull, one of
Yeah.
the two. Either way, hard to buy hats.
I know the thick skull feeling. We kind of brought you here. It's school's back in session. Summer is over. Maybe we thought we'd see what your summer was like.
Yeah.
Tell the class what you did.
How I
this
spent
summer.
my summer
Yes.
vacation? Well, I had a really, and some of your viewers may remember, I had a very special opportunity this past summer, and I was invited to take part in Tour 21, which is a charity bike ride in France for 3 weeks, and we do the entire route of the Tour de France. So it was
The whole thing.
the whole thing, 3,300 kilometers, 2 mountain ranges, and we're biking 180 to 200. I think our longest day was 222 kilometers. So that is a long day of biking.
Because one mountain range wasn't enough.
No, they have, and actually like the third one, the Massif Central in the middle, it's kind of a mountain range too. So we went up and down a lot of hills.
Top speed?
My top
Coming
speed was
down the hill?
77 kilometers an hour.
77.
And
What does that feel like on a
It
bicycle?
feels a little scary.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Yes.
Bet.
Most of the time, we're not going that fast. That was a particularly steep hill, and it was very straight, so we could see where you're going. But if you're coming down switchbacks in the mountains, I mean, I could smell my brakes. I was holding them so tight.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding at all. Yeah.
Wow.
But
Weather?
Weather was almost always really good. We had a couple of rainy days, a couple of really hot days, but born and bred in Manitoba, 30, 35 above, nothing.
Top of the mountain
I'll take
weather
it.
still was okay
It
as
can
well?
be quite a bit different at the top, at the bottom, so you sweat all the way up. And then you get to the top, it's a little bit cooler. It feels great. You start going down,
Yeah.
and you're not working anymore,
Yeah.
and
Wind
you're
chill.
wet, and you get that wind chill, exactly. And so it could be, you can lose feeling in your hands. You're like,
Yeah.
this is the middle of July.
Yeah.
How am I losing feeling in my hands? But it was absolute phenomenal experience. Just an incredible way to see a country going from town to village to town on tiny little side roads, places that wouldn't be on your tourism bucket list
Yeah.
in France, but honestly should be, because they're very, very welcoming. Just incredible scenery everywhere you look. Wonderful history, and of course for a great cause. So we raised more than $1 million for
Sure.
leukemia research. Well over $1 million.
What?
So, yeah. So
Wow.
feel pretty good about that.
No
Absolutely.
kidding, eh?
And a big part of that came from supporters right here in Brandon. So I raised $60,000 personally, thanks to friends, family, businesses, local organizations who chipped in, and that's just a testament to the power of a city like Brandon, that people come
Yeah.
together and support me.
Well, especially when there's a worthy cause that we can all get behind. It's nice to see that we all just band together and get the job done. And and it's great that you are here to represent it, because, I mean, not that we're trying to bolster your ego or nothing, but you're a fairly high-profile individual, and I really appreciate that you are the one able to tell us this wonderful story.
Well, thanks. The nature of the job, I guess, to
Yeah.
have a bit of a profile in the community, but also I feel like my profile is standing on the shoulders of so many other people, and yes, I might have been the one out there struggling to turn the pedals, and I'm the one now here on the show, but I felt that entire community come along with me when I was on the ride. So
I was curious, did the towns represent and give you a good pass as you passed through the towns to the residents?
It was amazing. So some people may not know, they change the route of the Tour de France every year. So it usually ends in Paris, or almost always ends in Paris. It starts in a different place, and then they pick a different route through the country. Every single year it's different. So one year they go clockwise, and then the next year they go counterclockwise. Sometimes they start in the north, sometimes they start in the south, east, west. They'll start in Belgium, they'll start wherever.
Right.
So for some of these small towns, and you're thinking of a place like a Souris or a Verdun or a Boisvane or something like that, the Tour de France might only come through once in a generation, and it's basically like having the Super Bowl come through your town.
No
So
kidding.
imagine living in a place like Nippo or Minnedosa, and the Super Bowl comes and plays there.
Yeah.
That is the level of excitement that they bring to the Tour de France. And so we're going through before the pros, but the town is decked out. They are like dressed to the nines. They've got pennants. They've got art in the fields. They'll take hay bales and they'll make big, giant, like, cycling dioramas out of them.
No way.
With moving parts and everything. It's phenomenal the amount of energy that they bring and the pride that people in France bring to the Tour de France. They know it is just an opportunity to show off their country, and they do it upright.
That's so neat.
And we're biking through, and I'm not a pro. I don't even look like a pro. Like, I can't even cosplay as a pro. But they're out there, they're cheering us on. Allez, allez, allez. There's kids on their way to school who are cheering us on. I couldn't have imagined the pride that I felt doing that with a Canadian flag on the side of my bike and representing everybody who supported me.
Well, I would like to talk about the things you saw in the field with the moving parts, because I'm sure you must maybe not have a picture of it, but know a picture of it. But we'll get to pictures later.
Sure.
First was more how many other nations were represented? What was our field of looking like?
So it was largely out of the UK. So there's a lot of people from the UK. Ireland was well represented. We had a guy from Israel there, and we had a few from the States. I was really proud to be the only Canadian.
Really?
And only the second Canadian ever to do it. So I felt very privileged. Wow. And they had a whole team bus. They had our names on the side of the bus with a little Canadian flag, and I felt some patriotism stirred in my heart, and I wasn't really. I'm going for a bike ride. I'm going for leukemia research, and then seeing the maple leaf there
beside your name,
beside
everywhere.
My name,
everywhere you see your name is with a leaf. Yeah,
hey, I've always been kind of an active person. I never ever thought, well, I'll go to the Olympics or I'll go. It wasn't even a childhood dream. So to see that sort of association, that national association, felt really good.
Yeah, you got to feel what it feels like to represent your country.
I'm sure only a sniff of what it feels like.
Sniff,
to
that's a better word.
Actually be there. Yes, but
you got a taste of it.
Yeah, a taste of it. No, just enough to make me hungry for more.
He's addicted. We got him. We got him.
I've said it. This is a joke that other people will have heard, but it's a once in a lifetime experience because I'll never do it again. It was just a physically exhausting and emotionally draining as well. It just feels very fulfilling to have done it. I think I'm a one and done.
And the next question, I think, should be, what's your favorite souvenir that you brought back with you?
The pounds that I left there were my favorite souvenir. I was in great shape.
You left weight in France?
Yes,
You're kidding.
I was probably in great shape when I came back, and I've sort of been coasting on that ever since. We didn't get a lot of chance for souvenir hunting. The memories, honestly, are the things that come back with me. But maybe it's a little trinket that will represent one of those memories. But at some of these mountain climbs, you can get to the top and they'll have a little shop at the top and maybe even a little restaurant. And at the top of many of them, you can buy a little, it looks like a roadside marker. It's a very French sort of highway sign. And they'll say, here's where you're at. You're at the Col de Tourmalet, and here's the altitude, and here's the distance. And so it's a little way to memorialize the climb that you have just completed.
Yeah. With a little "you are here" memento.
A little bit, yeah. And so I've got a few of those. I didn't realize that they were selling them at the top of every climb until about halfway through, but I did get some after that. So it's that type of thing that I think looking back on will be a trigger for to have the emotions and the thoughts and the feelings kind of flow back and remind me of the accomplishment, but the camaraderie, and then the reason we were doing it too.
Nice. Well, we talked earlier about how we would present some photos to the people at home watching, and the idea was generated that maybe if we took the audience through your Facebook page,
sure,
and you could kind of narrate them as they go through some of the photos that you took, and
if we go through even some of the photos that I took, we will be here.
Time,
we got. Okay, we're here till next Thursday. But I'm happy to say, like, my Facebook, my social media is all open. It's public, so if people go and find me on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, I even posted to LinkedIn. I think even to Blue Sky a couple of times. People can find all these photos, and I was really, as I posted them throughout the trip, I really felt gratified at how many people were engaging with them. Even a simple like, but lots of comments saying, "Oh wow, it looks good," or "Oh wow, we're so proud of you." And it wasn't people necessarily that I knew, and it's not just for my big head. It was that feeling of support that did actually help me get up the climbs, that really did help me push through and on some of those tough days when it's pouring rain and we have 150 kilometers left to go and I just did not want to be there. The support from home and people that were friends of friends of friends, that was just immensely gratifying, and I appreciated all those comments very much.
No kidding. Yeah, that must have felt like we were not literally but figuratively pushing you up those hills, right?
Yeah, you could have used a bit more push, but, but emotionally it helped, sure. Well, maybe I'll turn this around. I don't know if we can maybe on the camera.
Oh, that works too.
Yeah, not too
That's
bad,
not
right?
half bad.
Okay, but can I do anything? There's dozens of photos, and you're going to see some cycling stuff, and you're probably going to see some food stuff because I'm just going to go through am I looking that way? There we go.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
and then when
great.
they can find the photo on their own computers and get the blow up version.
Yeah, so
we'll see the postage stamp
Sure.
version.
So yeah, we've got lots of opportunities, especially in the first couple of days, to take selfies, get out on the roads. See, I can't even see what I'm showing here.
Oh, if you look on the TV.
So some of your viewers may also remember me as the person who doesn't have all his fingers.
Yeah.
And that was a cycling accident. It's really what pushed me into digging deep and going hard into cycling as a way to get around and say, I'm going to actually do more of this, not less of this. By coincidence, this Tour 21 started 3 years to the day after I lost that pinky finger.
To the day?
To the day.
To the
and
day.
so every year I celebrated as Pinkyversary. And it was kind of neat to celebrate Pinkyversary there when I was about to start a huge new cycling things. Yeah, so it was Pinkyversary.
What a great way to start the slideshow.
You know what? I'm actually going backwards.
You've done this before.
I have, yeah. Yeah, I was going backwards. I was going back in time. I landed in London on my way
we
back.
are going back in time doing a slideshow.
So we'll go forward in time from here. So we're kitted up and we're 7 days ahead of the pros to start. We were starting the Tour de France in Lille that year. We went out. That's some of the cobbled roads, similar to some of the cobbled roads that we would have to ride on. Now, it doesn't look too bad, does it? When you get up a little close and you see
no thanks.
how deep those are,
Yeah.
and when you imagine, you have to take that at 40 kilometers an hour.
You allowed to have suspension?
No, well, you're allowed to, but you don't want to drag the weight for most of it. Yeah.
So you had to endure every last bump, essentially.
Every last bump that the pros do. And that one, that was not great, but imagine it in the rain and imagine it when you're also going up a hill. We climbed some steep cobbles.
Well, you must have felt a little historical, right? Because those cobblestone streets have been in use for so many
centuries.
Yeah, that particular section is a very famous section in the Paris-Roubaix race, and it actually...
You felt all the bumps exactly the way everybody else that had been down that road felt them.
The problem is the pros only have to spend half as much time on them as I do. I'm really struggling.
And whose fault is that?
Definitely my fault. Definitely my fault. So there you'll see there's a lot of photos like this, me selfieing with cyclists in behind. So that's a World War I cemetery, and it's I knew we were in Northwest France. I knew what had happened there. I knew the history, but I wasn't prepared for the emotional impact when we stopped for lunch and
it's staggering.
All of a sudden there's
and then you notice your surroundings and take it all in.
That's right. Yeah. And all of a sudden there are endless. We've read the poem, right? Like between the crosses, row on row, and you don't realize just how many rows, and it stacks up. And then that's just one cemetery. You go down the road, there's another one, and another one, and another one. And it's quite sobering to think about when you think about the depth of history in a town, you think about this castle or this monastery and this cool shop or this cool hotel, but there's some negatives to it too. So it was impactful to be there. We got to make a lot of good friends on the tour. Some of them handsomer than others. Clearly, this is like in a western, right? With the white hat and the black hat. One of us is good, and the other one is evil. I got fed really well on
food pictures. Seriously,
amazing.
I'm sorry, I told you. So that's the type of map that we would get for a daily tour, and
that's a day, man.
That's a day, yeah. So Lille to Lille all the way around. So that was probably about 180K. I don't know if we can see it on there. Not just some of the places we would stop for lunch or a break. Now, in the tour, of course, if you're racing the tour, you're spending your time jostling for position. You're not stopping, right? It's a race. I was not racing. I was just riding, thankfully. So we got really well treated and really well taken care of. So we were able to bike for a couple of hours, stop for a coffee break and a water break, bike for a couple more hours, stop for a really nice lunch, kind of catch our breath and recuperate and rest a little bit. Then a couple more hours for another afternoon coffee break, and then we'd get in around supper time.
So you didn't have to relieve yourself on the ride.
No, thankfully. That's a separate skill.
The racers don't get that privilege.
No. Their nature breaks are
in nature.
Yeah. So
no way, you found bees.
I did. I also found bees. So you'll also know that I dabble in beekeeping at BU at the university, and it's really fun. And there was a hotel we were staying at in Lille, and they had bees at the hotel in Lille. So there I am, kitted up in my my cycling.
Would it be BU squared or B squared U squared? BU.
Oh, I think we'd BU squared.
BU all squared.
Yeah, all squared.
I have to look that
all
up.
squared away.
All squared.
Yeah. So there is some of the. I can't actually make out what that is, but that's one of the signs.
That's a heck of a hairdo, is what that is.
Oh, that's Helmet Head. Yes, Helmet.
Wicked.
Oh, this was a restaurant where it was not open.
I didn't think it could get better, and then it got better.
Yeah. So there's lots of fun. Like there's some historical castles.
Whoa.
Yeah. There's some of the decorations that they put up, giant jerseys.
Neat.
Yeah, so different jersey colors mean different things. So the polka dot jersey would be, for example, the racer who's leading in the mountains. So the fastest up the mountains. Right. From the bottom of the climb to the top of the climb, you'll get different points for being first up, even if you're not leading that race that day, or even if you're not leading the overall classification. So you can get points.
So it's possible to be the first across the finish line without winning the race.
You can be first across the finish line, but you'll win that day's race, but you're nowhere near necessarily winning the Tour de France.
Yeah, if your last day is your best day,
that's right.
You're not winning nothing.
That's right. Yeah, you might be an hour behind the leader at that point.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's a cool.
Wow.
To be with all of those people doing all for the same reason.
Do you see the hill that's coming up?
Yeah, I see it.
That's just a little guy too. So that's some of the field art that we would see, and that was a relatively small example because some of it they optimized for the helicopters that track the Tour de France. Right. So they might have
bigger and better
dozens of bales in the field laid out for the helicopter to pick up, but then they have these ones that are by the roadside too.
Well, even more reason to watch the Tour de France.
Yeah. This is I took a Canadian flag over there, and we were biking on Canada Day, so we were tried to get some stuff like that. This was July in France.
It looks like a prairie field.
Looks pretty Manitoba.
That looks pretty very Manitoba.
Yeah, it looked pretty Manitoba to me. It wasn't all that flat.
You're in Saskatchewan or Manitoba,
yeah. So I felt really at home, especially on Canada Day. So that was the fourth stage. So of course 4 is a powerful number for me.
Yeah.
And there's what I'm talking about. It's with the touches. The little bit of patriotic pride, and felt pretty good about it. So.
Jealous.
And of course, I managed to sneak away for a beer here or there.
Nice.
So,
I've heard beer is a good recovery drink.
It's excellent recovery drink.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, the 2 best recovery drinks would be beer and chocolate milk.
I was going to say
typical drinks.
Chocolate milk, I've heard too. Yeah. Wow, look at that.
It's fantastic.
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk. Yeah, it has a little bit of protein, has a little bit of sugar, and it's pretty good. And it's easy on your stomach.
And who doesn't like chocolate milk?
Exactly. So here's just another example of in the city. I mean, they painted that with yellow and or gold and white to bring in that Tour de France element. And I wish I'd caught from the side, because the pillars on the front are painted and the back wall is also painted. And I'm standing in the middle of an intersection here to catch this shot, but you go to the side and all of a sudden they're not aligned anymore. It was kind of a trippy illusion effect in 3D, but yeah, it was pretty neat. Just some more of the decor that they had set up. And then I went.
Gorgeous architecture.
Absolutely phenomenal.
What is that from?
That is actually the ruins of William the Conqueror's castle in France.
Cool.
I don't think he was William the Conqueror yet, because he hadn't actually conquered England.
I think he was born as William the Bastard. I think that was his actual name.
He had a score to settle.
Yeah. He did. Like, I need to change my name.
I need to change it.
What can I do?
Invade England.
Yeah. So that's the castle that predates his invasion, his Norman invasion. But
get out.
66, I think.
Holy history too.
1066.
You had quite the full plate.
It was phenomenal. So a little cyclist going through the cobbled streets there, and you can see they've got the pennants up top. just keeping everything.
Is European history
there.
one of your courses in university? Like, were you interested in it?
I wasn't. No. Well, yes, of course, I've always been interested in history, but no, I never took it.
Okay.
At university. So I get most of my education from the signs on the side of the buildings that tell me what's. So yeah, just the type of thing that we would bike through or bike past.
What the heck is that?
They had
A polar bear.
They had a whole series of sculptures in front of this. This is something in, I don't remember the name of the town. Rennes, maybe?
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
But just phenomenal place to go. There's some more cycling shots. I do warn you, some more eating shots. I do warn you. There's literally hundreds of these photos. I don't know if we need to go through or want to go through all of them at this time, or just encourage people to.
I think we got about 2 more minutes.
Okay.
And then
That's not beer, I swear. That's,
No?
That's lunch. That's
Oh.
lunch. So that would have been another healthier drink.
Something
But that's the
healthier
type
option.
of place that we would stop for lunch. So it's a
Gorgeous.
nice little field, gorgeous. This town, by the way, I remember this one quite well. It was Lonlay-l'Abbé, and it's a tiny little town in northwestern France. And the tour happened to pass through it that year. We came because we were following the same route as the tour. It is probably, I'm going to say 100, 150 people. And the mayor came out to talk to us. He was so impressed that we were coming through and spending time in his town, and so happy that the mayor and his wife came out to thank us personally for coming, to encourage us the next time we're in France to remember the town of Lonlay-l'Abbé and to consider it as a place to go or a place to visit. He said, we've got an Airbnb or like a little inn that can house 15 people, and they had a nice little market with a little store and a bakery, and it just there were a dozen towns like that. We got all kinds of great welcomes from mayors or other people, but that's the one that really sticks with me. It was really, really pretty, and the mayor was super, super welcoming and just really touched that we would choose to come and visit his town.
And what better tourism ambassador than that? You've just given them a very heartfelt endorsement. Well done.
I would go back. It was a beautiful part of the country, a beautiful town, and obviously very welcoming. So, yeah.
No kidding.
That's
That's such a cool story.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for bringing that to us and taking us through.
Please, anyone's welcome
If
to.
you had only had a projector, it would have been just like 1970 all over again.
all over again with my transparency. So, anyone, of course, is welcome to follow along the journey. Find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, and you can see some other photos of me struggling up the hill, or the one that I showed you earlier, which they took portraits of us
before
before
and
we
after,
started,
yeah.
and then after we finished. And I don't look my best after we finished. I'll put it that way.
I don't know if that's entirely true. It looked like you had a challenging day, but that you managed to overcome all your obstacles. So.
Got to the top of the mountain
Right.
that day. So,
See?
Yes. yeah.
Exactly. You had a sense of accomplishment in that photo.
I did.
All right, well, we have some time left, so I thought we'd kind of cover some recent events that have been going on. Elon has painted a pretty bleak picture when it comes to teachers and professors and free speech in general. And we're curious, from an academic point of view, how does the university, well, number one, receive such, discouraging words, and what is the response from an academic point of view?
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with exactly what he said, but obviously the context in the States and
Yeah.
the context in Canada is very, very different. But it's not like we haven't had talk about free speech or talk about academic freedom on campus. It's, maybe going back hundreds of years, like what speech is desired, what speech is permitted, and what speech is prohibited. The philosophical discussion
Yeah,
that
and it's
people have
messy.
been engaged in, and it is messy, and it's messy because of these gray areas, right? The famous one is you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Right?
Huge, yeah.
But you absolutely can if there's a fire, and you should if there's a fire, right?
Yeah.
You absolutely should. So it's something that I don't know that there's a perfect rule of thumb where everybody can point to and say, yes, we all agree that that is the rule. At Brandon University, we're lucky that we can turn to our motto, actually. One of the highest guiding principles in a very, very sort of abstract way, but in our case, it happens to also be of concrete value. So our motto is taken from the Bible, and it is speaking the truth in love.
Nice.
And so you can interpret that in a couple of different ways. And one of the ways that we have looked at it, and in our strategic plan, we've really delved into this, is that speaking the truth is important. And a lot of free speech advocates, that's where they stop. Yes, we need to speak the truth. You need to do it in love. Like, it needs to be respectful. Yeah. And that's where sometimes we talk about free speech and we don't talk about responsible speech. We don't talk about what listening might look like. We don't talk about what thinking about your audience rather than yourself, what that implies for what speech is and isn't welcome in any area. And that's the guiding principle that we apply to it. So yes, free speech and academic inquiry, especially at a university, especially where you want to have those debates where things aren't assumed, things have to be brought to the table and nothing's off the table, but it also has to be done in a respectful way.
Absolutely.
And that's where we're focusing on the love part. And feels a little bit maybe wishy-washy to bring up love and say it's love, but love can be a really strong and powerful and strong emotion, and it's not a weak emotion. So I think that's where we find the value in free speech is speaking it in love.
Beautiful.
Problem solved.
Well, I'm glad we gave you an opportunity to just address the elephant in the room and put Brandon University's spin on it, because kids right now are picking what university they're going to go to, and I didn't want Brandon University to not have a chance to address what is probably a big decision for a lot of people.
Well, we can promise a lot of things at Brandon University, and one of the big promises that we can make is that you'll be welcome there. So that implies that we will listen to you and take you for who you are, but it doesn't mean that we won't challenge you. Right, so yeah, definitely come to Brandon University ready to learn and maybe ready to change your mind.
Well, and I hope ready to have muddy conversations with and keeping love in mind, right?
Yes,
That's, I think, is a core principle, like you said, of Brandon University. Then we're all in good stead. Great. Well, we still have more time, so we should talk about the challenge that AI is bringing to the world, and especially academia, who is tasked with preparing us for the world, preparing young people to meet the challenges that are coming towards them. AI is throwing a huge wrench, like an industrial revolution-sized wrench, depending on who you talk to. And preparing for this is, I'm sure, top of a university's mind. So we're curious what strategies, what effect the university is expecting, and what strategies the university is using to meet that.
Well, yeah, it's a huge topic of conversation.
Yeah.
At universities and probably public schools across the globe. And it's funny because of the speed that it has become a big part of the conversation, right? Because when was ChatGPT released? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
November 2022, I want to say.
Yeah, so maybe like 2.5 years ago.
That's a household name.
And it is a household name. It's being used in many industries, including academia.
Every industry,
and it is, I don't know if we're struggling, but we're really experimenting with a lot of different ways to handle it because it's so new and there isn't any good sort of best of class solution. But broadly speaking, people are taking a very broad approach to it. And so there's some classes where, use of AI is if it's not mandated, it's almost expected and encouraged. And you can imagine those would be classes like, taking advertising or promotions, right? The use of AI is going to be a very big value add there.
Time saver, huge.
Huge time saver. But if you're in creative writing, teaching creative writing, AI is not going to help you in creative writing.
Probably harm you more than anything.
It'll harm your learning outcomes 100%. You won't learn what you're there to learn, and you won't get the value out of the class. But then there's also this range of other classes in the middle where maybe you could use AI in some ways, and maybe it's not appropriate to use it in other ways. But where do you draw that line? And different faculty members doing different things, different classes, different faculties, different approaches, and so it's a really exciting time from that perspective as we all get a chance to experiment with AI and to see where it goes. What it can't do is teach you to think, right? It can't do your thinking for you, and it can't teach you how to communicate, although it can maybe do some of the communicating for you. It may not get your message across. Yeah. So ultimately, the AI is a tool, and ultimately what it doesn't what it doesn't actually address is the core value of a university education, which is that teaching you to think for yourself and to think critically and to bring your own brain to the world around you.
Yeah.
The AI is a tool to help you do that, but it can't do it for you.
Yeah, and I suspect that AI hasn't been given the recognition that it may soon deserve. A couple of friends of mine told me that they credit ChatGPT with getting them through some really tough times. So I think we're just tipping into a what would you call it, an awareness reckoning, where we go, you know, this is actually helping us. And a lot of people that are vulnerable are saying that.
I've heard that a lot, and you know, there's the way AI are currently programmed is in a very friendly, very affirming way, and certainly people who are maybe socially isolated can get a lot of value from that. I think we need to be careful, and I'm not an AI researcher, I'm not an AI programmer, thank goodness, but I think we need to be careful about what cultural assumptions are built in and how they're kind of brought forward, because you might imagine that you know, somebody from one part of the world might have different expectations of an AI that it's asking to be a therapist, and someone from a different part of the world might have totally different. So if you're talking to an AI that was coded in one part of the world, what are you getting back from it? So that's just another thing that has to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, you asked for a Canadian therapist viewpoint, but you might be getting a Japanese therapist viewpoint,
and you know what,
depending where the programming or what language model it's using.
Maybe it's not even, like, maybe therapy is not the right window to think about it, but what if you're asking it for legal advice, or what if you're asking it to analyze this, and you might get a completely different interpretation.
Yeah, and I think you raised a really important point when you talked about critical thinking, and I suspect that academia in the future might be all of the information you need to make your decisions in this, you know, academic project that we're in. All the decisions you need all the information you need is in AI and available, but now academia is going to practice making good decisions with the data that's presented to you and collated and found by AI, right?
Sure.
As a research gathering.
And you can see how that played out already in disciplines like mathematics, right?
Oh,
you know,
really?
Well, sure. They didn't used to have calculators. They didn't used to have computers. And then as these new tools come on board, they still have the same questions. They still have the same data. Yeah. And in fact, now they can make much better use of the data that they have and do much more interesting things.
Well, they can press Memory Plus now.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to bring up, so according to Harvard Business Review from April of this year, according to the top 3 purposes of people are using Gen AI, from 3 to 1 are finding purpose, organizing my life, and therapy/companionship.
Really? That's interesting.
That has taken the top, I mean, this is out of 100 different things, and this ranges from content creation, professional support, learning and education, but the top 3 are all support, you know, for a purpose.
Isn't it incredible that the number 1 is purpose?
Therapy and companionship.
He was reading them from the bottom up.
Oh, reading backwards, okay.
But as a top 3, I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
Actually.
Finding purpose, number 3.
That children are looking for purpose is a kind of a scary thing. I interpret it as that's probably a bit of a downer. I would.
And even organizing my life.
I think actually AI would excel at organizing.
Oh, for sure.
Personal assistant,
as a personal assistant, exactly. So I don't know exactly what went into that question, but I see a lot of people who say, "I've got too many emails. Help me." Consolidate these emails. Which ones do I need to address first? Which ones are not? And or maybe it's even like building a recipe. I've got this. I need something for supper, and I'm really busy tonight. I got this in the cupboard. What should I make that'll be ready?
Break all these 10 things I have to do into a schedule I can fit into a day.
That's right. That's right. And AI, you know, 2 years ago was actually laughably bad.
It was horrible.
Some of those things, and it's come a long way since then.
Automatically, it's just how much it's learned, and it's grown just in a couple of years. Like that.
You can really see it in the pictures. If you use the picture generating tools that are available from 2 years ago to today, amazing progress.
It's video generating tools
now.
I remember seeing a side-by-side from like late 2022, early 2023 to sometime this year. It was the same video, what like the starting one, the background's changing all the time. The animation, I think it was like a Greek statue dancing or something like that. But it's wonky. Like there's imperfections that you can clearly see. But the 2025 version, smooth. Same thing. It's smooth as anything.
Even our editing software, if you have a shot that ends and you're like, boy, I wish I had just the next second or two of that shot, you can click. It's as easy as clicking AI generate. It thinks about it and you can see it progressing, and then it goes, there. That's how much I can generate.
Probably what it would look like. Yeah. I actually find one of the most interesting use cases I've recently learned about is interactive video, where you can program the AI to speak back and forth with you, and it's not a great video, but it's good enough. And the use case they suggested was to practice having difficult conversations.
Exactly.
So maybe you are, getting ready for a job interview. Maybe you got to talk to your wayward teenager, right? There's all kinds of different opportunities for you to say, I need to have this conversation. I don't know how it's going to go. Maybe you want to ask your boss for a raise.
Right.
Raise, I'm sure. And so you can put that persona in and say, my boss is really nice, but we work at a company that doesn't have a lot of money. I've been here for so long, and I want to ask for a raise. And then you can talk back and forth, but it will also give you feedback. You talked too much. You didn't listen enough. You used I words rather than us words. Like whatever you want.
A life coach.
A life coach.
Kind of.
Exactly. So that kind of interaction. First of all, very interesting use case for AI. And B, maybe it has some career implications for people who are life coaches or are job coaches, but ultimately it's not replacing that from somebody who's already using those services with a human. It's just opening it up to so many more people who are like, I've got 10 minutes and I can do that practice right now.
Well, life coaches can do a much better job now because they're the ones discovering how to best use AI. Sadly, once they do accomplish that goal, there'll probably not be another generation of life coaches. But the current life coaches are going to still have
it's interesting because there's still people who paint, and there's still people who ride horses. But you're right, there's not a lot of portrait painters anymore. And yet there's a lot of photographers. If you want a wedding photographer, there's a ton out there. Maybe there's fewer than there were 30, 40, 50 years ago, but there's still a good way to make a living. And we've had phones in our pockets for a decade plus now, but it hasn't replaced the need for professional judgment, and it hasn't replaced the specialized tools that a professional photographer can bring. I think the same will be true for AI.
Yeah, I think the more you know about AI, the better positioned you are to actually make use of it. I love that it has a browser that anybody now can just open up a browser and get to know AI and get some experience with it. And I know that it's getting a lot of bad press because it's a big, scary change. Change is always scary.
Change is always scary.
Change is always scary. And what Cullen and I try to do is break that barrier so that people will start a relationship with AI as a life coach.
Are you AI right now?
Are you fake?
Well, it does such a good job of organizing a life. It does it without even blinking, really. It's nothing for it. And so I think that there's a lot of help that probably isn't getting used yet.
Yes, and it's the speed that you can access it with that is really impressive. So is it perfect? No. But sometimes not perfect and done is better than
the Model
never
T
getting anything.
Cars had to start somewhere.
Yeah, or you can go out and buy a hammer and nails, or you can buy a power nailer.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a tool that you use to build a deck. Either way, I should probably still hire someone to build my deck. Because
smart advice right from the Brandon University, and well, we actually do have some time left, so
let's ask AI how to fill his time.
Yes. What is your experience with AI at Brandon University personally? Like, has it affected your job?
I've dabbled with it a little bit, like you with, not so much with video, but with images. So if we needed to crop an image.
Touch up,
Yeah, not even touching up, but sometimes I need an image, somebody's taking it this way and it needs to be this way. And there's just not enough background.
You need AI to fix your hair.
I would just like brush that out. So that kind of stuff, actually, I found it would have been really tedious and difficult, and the results wouldn't have been very good. but now I can say this just needs to be cropped in this way, and please extend the background. And it's some kind of a blurry background or whatever. It does a better job than I would have done for that kind of a purpose. I haven't found it super useful for doing actual work yet. One thing that I've heard people talk about it is it's as if you have a really dumb intern.
Yeah.
A really dumb intern who needs a lot of supervision, but you have unlimited dumb interns.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just in my role, I'm not at the part where I don't have enough supervisory time to
Oh, really?
to oversee all the interns.
Yeah.
But it's good. You get a big document if you need a quick synopsis. It can give you a big quick synopsis.
Yeah,
of a
like
big
it'll
document.
generate briefing notes really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't trust it to do anything that's mission critical. And so much of what I do, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but so much of what I do is really, it's the brand and reputation of the university that the communications department is responsible for stewarding, and I think the human needs to be pretty in the loop so far.
And from a departmental perspective, are there some departments in the brand new university that are not as happy with AI?
Well, I don't know if from a departmental perspective. I think just like any group of people, some people are more excited and some people are more nervous about the potential with AI and which direction it can go. We have a really good Center for Teaching, Learning, and Technology, and they've been doing a lot of work to help faculty members dig into AI, see what it can be used for, see where maybe some of the pitfalls or roadblocks might be with using it. One thing that we've had great success with, actually I should have mentioned this when you're asking about how I use it, is in accessibility. So if you want to make sure that your website, for example, is open and available to people who might have visual impairment or a difficulty using a keyboard or something like that, we have tools to make it accessible.
It could translate to both official languages.
It can translate to any language you want, even Klingon probably.
Yeah, even,
so
you can read Klingon too?
I cannot. No.
Oh, okay.
But it's also really good. Do you learn better maybe from listening rather than reading?
Yeah.
So you can take that lesson and you can put it into that PDF that your prof has uploaded as homework and put it into a podcast thing and listen to it that way. Or maybe if you have it's like dyslexia, it can kind of help you focus by just displaying it one line at a time. So we have some accessibility tools on our website and on our learning system, like our online learning system, and some of those are AI assisted, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that the tool, I've heard of it, but I've never used it, and I don't know if it's AI, where you fix your eye on a point and then the words of the book are streamed across that point to increase your reading speed. Apparently it's the words, and you have a dial, and you can control how fast the words go by that fixed point.
I've seen that.
Have you tried it?
I haven't tried it. I don't think that's likely not AI based.
Okay.
But the Focus one is similar to that, but not exactly the same. And the key is not to read it as fast as you can, but to read it as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not about speed, but about comprehension and the tool that we have. I don't think maybe they can adjust the speed a little bit, but it's not really about that. It's about bringing the focus to the word itself. So you might be somebody who looks at a page of words and says, I can't even focus. So we'll take that, and this tool will reduce it down to one line and highlight the one word and help you focus.
Neat. While you were talking, the one department of the university that I thought might fear AI the most, sadly, is drama. I could see, like, we were talking about video generation and how that is getting better, and motion realistic 3D video is just around the corner, and what that means for the movie industry, basically, with their $1 million budgets being replaced by $1,000 AI.
Well, I can't speak to Hollywood. I know that the big movie houses like that, actually they put a lot of money into the technology side of things, whether that's CGI effects or now maybe AI-based effects. I think the hopeful path is that it opens up the tools of Hollywood to a wider.
I think writers are not in trouble at all, for example.
Other people would disagree, though. A lot of people think that writers are very much in trouble. But I look at something like Mecca Productions. There's still people going out and really having a blast on stage, physically. So pre-movies, right? And they're still filling the Westman Centennial Auditorium. So there's still a market for that, and there's still people who want to do it. So I think we're going to open up new types of entertainment. I don't think we're necessarily going to lose the old types of entertainment. And in fact, if I was a playwright, I might be really interested to say, okay, I've got this idea in my head. What's it going to look like when I'm in drama?
Right.
And then you could have, it doesn't have to be super good. It just has to show you, okay, this is what it's going to look like to the audience. It's not exactly what I had in mind, so I'll tweak my instructions.
Landscapers do that already with AI, so they can give you like a view of what your backyard is going to look like when it's done.
Absolutely. So there's still the person, there's still the service, and there's still a tool. It's just a tool lets you do so much more with the person and the service that you offer.
Yeah, and I like that voice acting has not gone down at all with any of the animation houses in operation. That all it's done is actually raised the amount of work for actors in general. So, yeah, I don't think drama is any danger, but I imagine there's probably a lot of nervous people.
Like anything else, if you're telling stories, what you're doing is communicating, and the only way to communicate is person to person. So you can go person and then machine and then tool and then machine and then person, or you can go like a conversation, right? And there's a reason that we're talking here in a studio now rather than on a Zoom, and there's a reason that we prefer that.
Yeah.
So I think people will always continue to prefer that human to human touch. Although I also don't get somebody to knit my shirts, right? I get somebody who made it on a machine. So there's going to be people who get much more access to outputs thanks to AI, and I think it's going to increase the amount of stuff that we have around, whether that's entertainment or probably misinformation too, but or valuable stuff like therapy or conversation. But I don't think it's going to ultimately put anybody out of a job. It just might displace some of those jobs. That's my personal feeling.
Ah, that's a pretty positive message.
Hey, yeah,
Which
I'm
is
trying to be positive.
Which is exactly why we invited you down to the studio today. Always a great message, and hope, positivity, love. You had everything. A great history lesson with the old slideshow from the 70s.
Yeah, the William the Pre-Conqueror.
I just wanted to extend my gratitude for you coming down to visit us today.
It's always a pleasure. You know, you didn't ask me if I disliked anything about my trip to France.
Because you didn't dislike anything.
Are you kidding? I
had let it all out, buddy.
one horrible thing, and I'm going to make up for it. I'm going to do better next year. July is a fantastic time to be in Manitoba, and I missed that. I really missed being able to spend July afternoons out in the sun, July weekends at maybe Clear Lake. I really enjoyed, or really would have enjoyed, more time in Manitoba in July, and I didn't get any of that. So I enjoyed being in France, but I'm really looking forward to getting back into the peak of Westman. Summer.
Well, you brought it good weather this week.
Yeah, I'm kind
of
happy
the
about
best
that.
Septembers I can remember.
Why aren't we recording this outside?
Okay, scratch everything. Let's reconvene outdoors.
Yeah, we'll do it outside in the
scratch.
parking lot.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I think we're ready to close. What do you think?
I think so.
Should we wrap it up?
I would say, in fairness, we got really choked out by the wildfire smoke this year, so maybe maybe you dodged a bit of that.
Maybe I did.
It's not the best
being
cycling
friends.
weather.
No, they had to cancel the cycling. There was a race in Rocky Mountain in June that they had to cancel because of the wildfire smokes. Yeah,
Bummer.
it is a bummer.
Well,
There's always next year.
at least
Maybe AI can help us with that.
there's always next year. Well, once again, thanks for coming down.
My pleasure.
From Cullen and myself, we hope to see you again real soon with whatever we're going to talk about next. Until then, take care.